Okay. All right. Welcome to In Conversation. Today's guest, none other than Ronnie Borchert. Welcome, Ronnie.
Hey, buddy, how are you?
Good, good, good to talk to you here. So man, sounds like you guys are really getting really a busy time of the year here for you, getting ready with this brand new album that came out. It looks like back in October. Freak
Yeah.
Show, the second album of them. Tell us about how you guys decided to make another album here.
Well, yeah, came out in the end of October, and so it's basically fairly new. It's like it's been out for a couple months now, and you know, uh, we were originally going to do a second Freak Show album. It was going to be Jeff LaBar and I. We were going to do a second record, and we got in touch with Stet Howland to be the new drummer, and we were talking to random bass players, and it got to you know the point where we were waiting for Jeff to finish doing some recording with his son Sebastian, and then we were going to get started on this new thing. And as we all know, Jeff passed away, and that really sucked, and it kind of blew the whole project. uh it just kind of sucked because it was a tough time for
Hmm.
for me, and let alone Jeff's family, and the whole thing of him passing. And I kept in touch with them and everything. um so time went by, and I just talked to Step one day, and I just said, hey, you want to do this thing still, and we'll just, like, maybe we just dedicate it to Jeff or something. And then he's like, yeah, and then it just took a lot of time, though, in between, getting it together and getting the basic tracks together, coming up with the songs. And then but it all came together, and everybody involved, including Carlos, he wanted to be involved, because he was, he knew Jeff, and if it was something to tribute to him, he was in on it. And then it just slowly grew into something better than we kind of expected, because we weren't originally going to call it Freak Show. We decided to call it Freak Show after we realized how great it came out, the album. So yeah, that's kind of how the second Freak Show album came, even though it's completely different members than the first version.
Right. But definitely people that everybody will recognize for sure that are now, currently in the band. Now, on the album, you got Greg playing there, but I guess he's not going to be doing any live shows or anything.
Well, yeah, he's got a family, and he's got a good gig going on, and he just quit his band Atomic Kings. And I'm not going to say never.
Mhm.
He's the guy who played on the album, and I couldn't say that we wouldn't do something again together, because he's pretty awesome, and we're both Canadian, so that's cool. But yeah, I love having Greg, but right now we got Rick Fox, who played with Steeler originally a long time ago, with Yngwie Malmsteen. So that's cool. And so Rick's a really great guy, and he's in the videos. We have like a new video that came out a couple weeks ago, our new single, and that's climbing pretty good.
Yep, and that was It Hurts Me.
Yes.
Yep, great song. Yeah, really, that's the couldn't believe it when I first heard it. And I'm looking, I see Carlos is on there. I'm going, wow. The Carlos, that's a very, very underrated guitar player for as long as he's been around. It just seems like he never gets his just due.
Yeah, I agree with you. And he was just inducted to the Metal Hall of Fame, last Wednesday. And sometimes it's like it's projects like this that later on in life, you 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 flourish in, and you realize that all the things that you've absorbed whether you're myself, who's, you know, more of an underground rocker guy throughout, you know, all the albums I've done. And then you have a guy, you know, a mainstream guy like Carlos, and then you throw in guys like me and Stet. All four of us have never played together before or recorded, you know, so you put us all together on this album, and it's like that's where the magic started. And then Carlos, he's something just happened to him. I mean, he's played great on all the records he's done, you know, and I think he got a new fire lit under his ass on that Rat record that he did playing with Warren D. Martini. But he just like went off on this record. Like, there's things on here that I never thought, you know, I would be a part of. And he's like, we even did an instrumental called Full on Shred, and he just lets everybody
Yeah,
to this
that's
day, you know, this is what time it is, everyone. You know, I'm Carlos Cavazo. Hello, you know.
yeah, that's one of the highlights on the album for sure. That full on shred instrumental there. I really enjoyed that. Um,
Yeah, I wrote that specifically for him to do exactly what he did, and it's pretty good.
yeah, it's just amazing. Like you said, he doesn't get his just due compared to like all the other guitarists from his era and his genre. And yet here he is, just like the last Rat album, and then here now, and it just
You know,
seems like
I was telling him that, like, I dude, like the other day we were on the phone, and I said, listen, man, before we talk about anything, I just got to say this. You know, me as a guitar player and songwriter and everything, I go, Carlos, you know, you know, after absorbing this record and listening to what you really did, I went back and listened to some of your other stuff and some of the stuff, and I go, dude, this is some of the greatest stuff you've ever done. And dude, you're like, you're in the, you know, the top 10 rad hard rock guitar players, you know, Eddie, Warren, these dudes, you know, that they consider, you know, the greatest and stuff. And I mean, you got to think about it. He took over for Randy Rhoads in Quiet Riot.
mm-hmm.
He's no joke. And there's even signs of Randy Rhoads on this album. You know, it's like Carlos is just an incredible guitar player. And I said, dude, you're in the top, you know, 10, you know, especially for me. And he goes, well, yeah, I hope so. But it's like true though. It's, you know,
Yeah.
like you can't deny the truth. You know, he's incredible, incredible, and I'm so honored to be a part of this record and him being a part of it with us, and it really came out great.
All right. Now that the record's out and about and everything, are you guys definitely going to do some touring for the album?
We're talking about it. Like right before this interview, I was just talking with Stet, and he's going to be handling a lot of our you know, setting up that stuff for our warm up things. You know, we're going to have to rehearse. You know, it's like the album's great, but you know, now that we have it, we have to look. You know, we got to play it and stuff. It's a little different. You know, recording and coming up with a great album, and then playing that album. We have to rehearse, so we're gonna, you know, get together and put that together, and then probably do some warm up shows, and then look for a tour to jump on. You know, like, you know, at this stage of all of our careers, I don't think we're gonna be like eager to jump in a white van with a trailer and just, you know, play clubs and stuff across the country. That was more like, you know, things they did with Miss Crazy. You know, this is a more of a thing where we're going to have to find the right support slot for something cool, or we don't do it, you know, because we all have families, and, you know, life is different than it used to be. And let alone under this current president, it's kind of tough to do touring and make, you know,
Mm-hmm.
any significant money.
Right, exactly. Now you guys, it looks like you guys give everybody credit on the songwriting. Is that pretty much, did that somebody bring in an idea and you guys all kind of worked on the songs? Or you just decided to give equal credit along the board there?
Yeah, that, you know, I kind of did that because I figured you can't subtract one person from this project and have it be the project. or let alone the band, you know. And when we're trying to do something live, and we've all done things, it's not about who gets more money or whatever. So it was just that we wanted to go in equal. You know, I came up with the bulk of a lot of most of the songs and stuff, and then, you know, I sent them to Stet. Stet did his thing, and then sent them back to me. Then I re-recorded my guitars, and then I wrote my vocals, and then, you know, then we sent them to each other, and everyone did their parts and brought life to each song. You know, like I can't imagine one of them not playing, you know, because it brings the structure of what they truly are. I can't imagine doing this gig without Stet. Stet like changed the songs completely when I got his drum tracks, and then I got to play to his drum tracks versus when I wrote the guitar parts and then I sent him the guitar parts, right?
Mhm.
So I had a completely different mindset compared to when I got to write the vocals and re-record my guitar tracks to his drums. And then, you know, a whole new life came when Greg played with Stet, you know, because Greg's amazing. You know, I don't know if you're familiar with Badlands and what he did
Mhm.
with JQP, but he didn't play with another guitar player on top of another guitar player. It was just, you know, when Jake would solo and stuff, there was, you know, sometimes there'd be a rhythm, but it was basically he was playing, you know, holding the fort down. So he got to play in a two guitar player band thing, and he was just incredible. Like the things he did, they were like I didn't expect those things, and he does stuff that's just creme. And playing with Stet the way he did, and then Carlos comes in, right? So you have this nucleus of this powered thing, because like for like 3 months, maybe four, I was listening to a three-piece version of the album, you know, because we had all our stuff, and it was a really good mix. And I was just like, man, this is so trippy, you know. And I was getting all used to it, you know. It was my guitar's all loud, doing all this stuff. And then when Carlos did the things he was doing, I was getting them like song by song, and I was just floored. Like I was so crazed, like sitting there with my phone. He was sending me MP3s and just sending them to my phone, and I was just listening to everything, and I was just like having these daydreams of God, how the album's gonna sound, you know. Pretty crazy, man. And then just after what he did as a guitar player, he brought more to the table than just being a guitar player. He textured things. He brought in his own little, like on the verses and the pre-choruses, and he made it like he was a producer, you know, because you know he's done a lot. He knows, you know.
Mhm.
And this album gave him that opportunity to be that producer guitar player, instead of just, you know, yeah, I'll come in and do some solos, blah blah blah. He took a long ass time and took, like, you know, like seriously, he took like 5 6 months to do all his parts, and it was worth it.
Mhm.
You know, like we took like a year to do this album, and it's incredible. Like, can't believe I'm on it.
Now, did you guys ever get in the studio together at all, or is it all separate and just put together basically?
Yeah, we have all our own studios and stuff, and own
Mhm.
places we record, and then, yeah, even mixing it, we went to a whole different place. And yeah, we didn't have to, like, you know, it's we're at that. I think, well, you know, I don't want to say that we're better than anybody or anything like that, but we probably won't do the next album like that. You know, Carlos already said we should probably all get together and do it that way differently. But you know, having your own studios, you know, Stet has his, and you know, um, Greg actually went to a studio to lay his stuff down where he did his album with Atomic Kings, and then Carlos has his at his house, and then I got a place in San Jose that I love a lot, that I like to go to and do all my guitar parts and all my vocals. I'm really comfortable there. and then we mixed in Sunnyvale, California. So you know it's great. I like that process really, because there's no pressure on anybody. You just kind of get your parts done how you get them done when you get them done, instead of being like, okay, I got to have all my parts done by this part because I got to get them to so and so.
Yeah, I mean, you can't argue with the result of the album, that's for sure. That's awesome how great it came out sounding wise. As far as producing, how did the production go? It looks like it says listed by you and Andrew. So you guys both co-produced it pretty much.
Yeah. Andrew did my last album I did with my last band, Miss Crazy, which was our last album. We did an album called Clones, and that was our last record. And he did that. That was the first time working with him, and that was awesome that I got to do that. And he previously worked. The album he did right before ours was he worked with Jeff Tate on his Queensryche album that he did. So I was like, all right, great. And then, we got a good relationship going, and he understands the things that I want and my goofiness of way of recording and doing stuff. And he understands me and the things I like and knows the sounds that I want. So we have a good working relationship. And it turned into from that previous album I did with him to this Freak Show album. And yeah, came out good. And he understands authentic hard rock and the players and stuff involved. It was cool.
Now, getting back to Greg, how did you guys hook up with Greg? How did he come aboard for this album?
I just asked him out of the blue. We were originally gonna have a different bass player, and actually I worked with that guy for a little while. He's a well-known guy, but it didn't work out. And so I don't want to get into the logistics of it, but it just wasn't right. And we didn't have anybody at the time when we already had the project put together. We had the project put together, but it was with the previous bass player that I don't want to mention. But so I was like hey, man, well, what am I going to do here? Because this project's going to be killer. I can already feel the vibes going to be good. And I thought, uh, Greg was a friend of mine, and we were, I'd see all his little Facebook posts and stuff, and I go, I wonder what he's doing. I wonder if he would be interested in just laying down bass for this thing, not thinking we would play or it would come out like it did, right?
Hmm.
So I just threw it out at him, and he thought about it for a while, and he said, "Yeah, man, I'd love to do it." And then, but see, he was doing his band Atomic Kings, so I wasn't like asking him to like join or anything. Just do the album with us and see how it goes from there.
Yeah,
And he's really glad he did, because now he's a part of the Freak Show family, and it's a great record.
definitely. Do you have a particular favorite song on the album, or a couple that you think that you like more than the others?
Yeah, yeah, I like the M.S.M song.
Hmm.
That's like song 5 on the record. It has kind of like a Black Sabbath feel, with kind of like a Metallica sort of chorus. And again, when I was doing this album, I character sang on it. Like I didn't go, well, everyone knows your voice from Miss Crazy and how you sing on that. And so I kind of just wanted to real sing on this and try all kinds of different stuff to make it almost seem like, there's a bunch of different vocalists on the album. So it's kind of, a tribute to hard rock is kind of how I perceive doing this record. But, like M.S.M, and there's a song called Tell Me You Love Me. That's really good. I like. And then our new single, It Hurts Me, I threw in a little bit of, your Iggy Pop, David Bowie style in there. And then we have a lot of Ozzy throughout the record too. Some Queensryche. It's just a fun record, you know. Anybody that's a genre lover, that loves the '80s hard rock and what we got out of it, the good stuff anyway. That's all on this record.
Yeah, it's definitely
Yeah,
a great variety, and I love the way the songs flow into each other too. It's like you're good, sweet, very good sequencing.
thank, thanks.
Definitely, definitely. So tell us now, is Miss Crazy done? Are you still going to be making some albums for them down the road? What's the status of them?
Yeah, I put that on. That's over with now. I think we decided to close that door, and the albums I did are I'm really proud of. You know, I'm really proud of that whole thing because it kept me. What's the word I'm looking for? I want to. You know, it just kept me on my toes. You know what I mean? When it came to playing hard rock music and staying true to my genuine upbringing. You know, I was brought up with Van Halen and Def Leppard and Kiss and those bands and Ozzy and that stuff. You know, bands like W.A.S.P. You know, those things meant something to me, and for me during the musical changes that have happened through the years. I had to stay true to my soul, you know, and there was a lot of time where people were like, dude, what are you doing? How are you not playing Green Day or or something, you know? And it was like I had to, you know, dabble in a lot of different things. And I just realized it just wasn't, it didn't have the same effect on my soul, you know? And hard rock is just who I am in good songs, you know, good choruses and getting to play with the guys like I am, it just brings out that more in me, you know,
Mhm.
to be able to set the basis of what kind of songs we're going to play and how we're going to do it, and everyone kind of just understands. Like, you know, for instance, all the things that Carlos brought to the table on all these songs, you know, they're just everything from our genre of the best things out of hard rock that we all love, right? So it was easy for Carlos, but he does so many different things, you know, like one minute, like it was great. Like when he was working on the record, you know, he'd go through each song and he'd just go, okay, and then he did what he did, you know, like it wasn't just like this one album, you know, where it was just all the same kind of songs all the way through. You know, there's a lot of different things going on here, but anybody that understands hard rock or any one of us as musicians
Mhm.
totally understands.
Yep. All right. So you said when you started Miss Crazy back in, was it '05? You said you kind of started around in that era when rock was
Yeah,
supposedly dead, and then
dead.
you found out otherwise, right?
Yeah, I did, and it was a trip because I got in the studio and we started recording the album, but I was doing another album with a band I was recording albums for called Trixie. And we had two previous albums that I had done for a label, and I was giving them a third album, like a third album of this band Trixie. And I dabbled in some different kind of vocals, and it was so different than anything that I've ever done before that I decided with the label to change my name and come up with like an alter ego, because you know my name's Ronnie Borchert, but that's what my name was in Trixie. So when we started Miss Crazy, we had this different sound, and I always wanted to play like, you know, harder edge stuff, you know, kind of like, you know, ACDC meets like Cinderella with, you know, Def Leppard overtones. So I created Miss Crazy, and that's what that was kind of. You know, it was the combination of those three bands. But then I changed my name and I said, well, people are just going to know that it's me because they're going to see my face. So we put on makeup, and then I got a girl bass player, and she was like a kabuki looking thing, and she, you know, she had a Fender endorsement, and we got all these endorsements, and all these people like Rudy Sarzo came out of the woodwork and started helping push us on, you know, the internet, and we got managers. And before you know it, you know, because MySpace, it was different in 2005. You could have a music player, and you could have like 100,000 friends if you wanted, which we did have. our fans, by the time we got like 4 songs on our music player, people are like, whoa, oh my God, there's a band like this, and you wear makeup and you got a girl. And it took off, man. It's like we started off with like, 500 close friends that we all knew on MySpace, threw our songs up there, and it grew to like 120,000 friends. And before you know it, we started getting concert offers. First, we played the Whiskey. Our first gig, we played the Whiskey at the Crew Fest in Hollywood, and that's when it took off. Like there was people saw pictures, and all this stuff came out on MySpace, and then before you know it, people from Texas were calling us, and we toured Texas before we played any other like shows anywhere else. We went and toured all of Texas, and it was like packed, and we're like, what the hell? Like we toured Texas like 3 times, and we played like all over the United States on this one album, and it just kind of set the tone for the band. And but then it's hard to keep band members together, and the band, we did 10 albums, but it was, a bunch of different people. And then I got some of the original band back for the last album. But it's tough. It was tough to do because we came out in 06 and 07 where we hit the scene, but then there was, 2008, that recession happened, right?
Yeah.
And then that kind of killed the band, and we didn't tour. And then I did FREAKSHOW in 2009, with Jeff LaBar and Frankie Banali. So I took a little break there, but then I came back to the band like 4 years later. But hard rock's a tough sell, dude. But when you play it and you're great at it, which I kind of feel that I am, and I don't want to sound like I'm better than anybody, but you don't work your ass off at anything in life to not be good at it, right? So that was my calling. I'm like, man, I'm a hard rocker. I love hard rock. I love everything it has to do. I love metal. I love pop. I love great songs, and here I am, 2024, with this record.
All right, so obviously the main focus right now is FREAKSHOW, but do you have any other projects on the side? Or are you working on anything else or producing anybody else right now?
No, I can't believe I'm not, to be honest with you. But no, dude, I've done so many albums that I'm just kind of like, I kind of brought to the table all the good things that I had in my little bag of tricks, and I put it together with these dudes. So we're just kind of, we haven't even done a gig yet. So for me to have to start worrying about writing or anything or doing, let's just see what we do with this album. It's got some great tunes. We got 2 videos that are out,
Yep.
First one's pretty underground. The second one is taking off a little bit quicker, and it's doing all right. And, we got a new single, and we'll probably do another video, down the line here, and see what happens with it. I'd like to take this somewhere before we have to worry about recording or having to do another project. Cause sometimes people get burnt on you, and I don't want anyone to get burnt, where you're doing too many albums, I don't want to have 15 side projects, you know what I mean? Where I have to try to sell fans this project and this project and this project, and then here's my main band, and then this thing, and here's my solo album. It's like I don't want to suck fans dry of their money and their time, because dude, I follow some people like that, throughout my career, and growing up, you have a lot of influences, and sometimes artists do so much stuff that you're like, dude, I'm just getting into your solo album. You know what I mean? And now you're doing an album with this dude and this guy, and it's out. It's like, give me a
Yeah,
break. I'm an artist myself trying to do an album. You know what I mean?
but
It's
there's
like I
guys
haven't.
out there.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, I mean, there's guys out there that just are workaholics and they're always doing something. It's
Yeah, but sometimes, you know what? Sometimes that's cool if you work really hard for the band that you're in and you can do that. But when you're in that band and then you're in six other bands, that's kind of weird. It's like, dude, especially when you're a singer, it's like, dude, mellow out already. You know what I mean?
all right. Sounds good. Well, I wish you the best of luck on the new album. It's definitely a great listen for anybody out there. We'll put the links in the for this video interview that we're doing here, and we'll let them know where they can get it. Any other last words you have for us today?
Just I appreciate having me, man. And I appreciate you and everybody, all the hard rockers out there. I'm just grateful, grateful that anybody gives us the time, But I'll tell you right now, don't doubt it because it's a great record. And because you get, with all the love you get out there, you get the hate too. So take a chance and listen to this record. It's everything hard rock, and I think you'll enjoy it. Thank you very much.
All right. Sounds good.